Alrighty, daily trading recap for Wednesday, the 26th of January, 2022. Little help from Sidekick Ripley Cat today in the bottom left corner there. SPY little down day after Jerome Powell coming on to talk today after meeting. Obviously, market did not respond to it extremely well, coming back on new lows around 430-ish. That's pretty far out. Let's check. Yeah, so could see some more. Good point from Jack number 2 in the chat today that I also wanted to mention and write down in my journal of really something I didn't think of, but all this market has known is just anytime the market dips, you buy it and it goes back up immediately after that. It's just been the same sentiment, rinse and repeat over and over again. So it'll be interesting to see if that, as that doesn't really happen, or if this day specifically doesn't turn into a reversal of this trend that happened these past few trading days, if that starts to create more backholders, more longs, and produce more wicked transactions down lower for price action that way. Be interesting to see a note on that. For dollar volume on the day, NASDAQ, we had $351 billion volume, NYSE, $486 billion volume in the day, OTC's $2.8 billion volume. Good dollar volume coming in, but just not in the small cap sector, not moving them the way that I really want to see, or for the things that I'm looking for. Just tough all around. Not being able to see that. Tesla taking a nosedive after little earnings coming out here, but could see bounce there. Not playing it at all, but yeah, just going off of, there's dollar volume there, and of course always opportunity to make money anytime the stock market is open, but just of, am I spending my attention in the right places, trying to force trades or even trying to paper trade with some of these ones that I'm doing now, like on SBEV, that I'll get into in a little bit. But it's just tough, and it's hard to keep in mind at times that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Of other millionaire names in the chat, or other guys, of course, are still making decent money, like 4-figure money days, 5-figure money days, and it's just like, well, I want to do that too, but then it's the same thing of, I don't necessarily have the same trading account in order to do those types of trades or to take those types of moves, and scaling out, especially being sub PDT for what I'm trying to do with myself, and still really doing my best to find what fits best for my personality that way. So it's just a constant evolution. I say that pretty much every single day, but it's just an adaptation and learning process with everything. And it's never going to get to this like, oh, sweet, got it mastered, got it done. I finally got my degree. Here we go. Now I can just like churn out money every single day and be green. It's just a process every single day, always evolving and growing. And that's the role I'm finding myself in more and more every single day. Love it. Grateful for every opportunity that I have. I'll mention, we'll just go into tickers. SBEV, start off with first. I went paper short on this one, identifying this one in pre as for this little, let's look on the daily here. This little run up that it had the first green day on that 11th of this month, and then fourth day turned into a huge green day, pullback, turns into another break to highs above $5 there, pulls back again. And then in this like little 3-day green streak now. So modeling it in my head similarly to a penny stock framework, mainly of, okay, let's maybe short into the bounce here off of that high rejection as it's still climbing here. Let's look for any amount of rollover on today, and then looking on the volume profile scale as well through my scans and looking at that, of identifying, okay, 410-ish to 430-ish, we're seeing the big collection of volume that could be providing some amount of resistance. And then pre-market, even still today, that $4 key psychological level there also was a key factor from yesterday, a little bit from this last week, Thursday, you could call it, even a little bit as it bounced there on that Wednesday of last week as well. So saying, okay, hey, if it starts to look weak around that $4 level, potentially starting in short there. I was in mind saying, okay, I could see myself getting actual shorts with my real account, but then as it was just not developing, or I was looking at other things and just not so keen on my prospectus on this trade as just a probability of happening for how little I've actually charted this style of trade or actually have done it. I said, yeah, let's just go paper for now on this one. But sure enough, it did start to spike pretty rapidly and quickly, and then just push all the way right to like 410 area as I was watching it, and it starts to find a little top there. So I started short 500 shares paper. It does get a little squirrely, and the bid's falling off super quick. So this does give me some indication that, okay, there's some manipulation there, just some wackiness for how this price is acting, for how it goes from 414 all the way back down to sub 4 within a few seconds on not crazy volume. Interesting to see, but okay, it's still paper. Let's learn from it, get this experience. Does start to pull back to VWAP, bounces off of there, tries to reclaim to new high a day, but just, of course, fails, creates a lower high, 408-ish there, pulls back to VWAP again, finds some more support, pushes to Try to attempt a new high 415. Let it run there. Just let it do its little peaky, because I was also thinking too and well aware of, okay, this could be just a little tiny blip or fake out above the top there. And sure enough, it was for that 4 or 5 minute opportunity there that just gets a little doji-ish and weirdish top, bottom wiki, red candles there. But then does ultimately get this huge volume perk that perks a new high of day, tapping 4.2 that cuts me out of my paper short. And then sure enough, 10, 15 minutes later, this just insane drop-off happens with even bigger volume than was for the actual breakout. It's like, wow, okay. Alrighty. What to chalk that up as, or where and how that came up. Alrighty, you do you. That is trading in this just crazy choppy market. But certainly things to learn from this one, and good exercise of plotting out in pre-market, of identifying key levels that I was holding myself to. In hindsight, for a takeaway, I can maybe say, I was identifying more levels of like 4.3 as being kind of that line of point of no return, of that could have been the mark, as we're still in this range as it's tapping here and still creating the new highs of 4.2 of what that volume profile was saying, of potential areas of resistance rather than just a specific point. And I knew that going in, but just didn't really factor that in, and kind of wishy-washy myself into, oh, well, if it starts to break a new high, then I'll cut this trade. But in reality, I could have still been using that risk area and still been sizing into a trade, and maybe have started in with a bit of a smaller size on that first entry if this was a real trade, and then been using that 4.3, that price rising above there, as a sign of a risk, or a point of a risk, and letting the trade work out from there. Because, wow, it sure had a hard and sharp drop-off from there. And I could still even see myself holding this one short, covering a few into that insane sell-off, of course, but still, for how this price action was moving and the rejection as it tried to break back to the upside of VWAP again, I could see this one breaking down over the next few days as well, and using this as a swing short style of trade on this little bounce short setup. But that was all paper that a little break-even, minuscule paper loss there, but learning lessons to fill that knowledge P&L bank on SBEV CKPT. I cannot say this ticker correctly. CKPT. This one was my short, first green day short overnight, just for the sentiment that I feel has been there for these first green day plays. Has just produced not a lot of insane craziness or spiking in the after hours of that first green day or in the pre-market of that second day, and really using that mainly as a risk lever to say that it's not going to spike hard against me, for just kind of appeasing that, not having to sit in front of a screen insanely obsessed with price action during after hours of pre-market, to just like, oh, anything could just spike this thing up to $3 at any point. I certainly would not be taking these style of trades in that type of market sentiment for what I feel these charts have been doing, and this one is a bit of a higher floater as well. I knew it wasn't just going to go insane, so I had that as a level of, I may not see this one as an awesome 10% profit opportunity by pre-market tomorrow, but I don't see it spiking hard against me. I could see it, maybe we trace down to 2, 3, 5-ish here. Maybe we get that price filling. It becomes just a single kind of ish, but just a nice even trade to at least accrue some amount of wins in this type of market, but just really did nothing. Went sideways all the pre-market today, just spiky weirdness, randomness, dojis, and after hours in pre-market, not taking really any hard weight on that specific price action for how that bid and ask and spread was working there. It's after hours trading. It is what it is. But cutting when it showed it need to be cut, when it was doing something different than I wanted to see, as it's spiking to 252, just holding too well, and dipped a little bit out of the gate, but just did not have the overhead strength to continue to push it down. Rose back above VWAP and showed buyers were in control for the most part. And sure enough, closed green on the day, 2% in the green. So for a grade on the idea of the trade, I gave it a D. It wasn't a complete failure, using that knowledge of higher flow. Knew it wasn't going to spike hard against me for what the recent market sentiment on these overnight first green day plays has been, but was not beautiful by any means or standards. Execution on what I thought I was trading, I gave myself a B grade. I can't I call myself a little bit chasey with these entries, or maybe could have been sizing in a little bit more on that initial entry, or as its rejection here after hours of 248-ish, 249-ish area again. But yeah, I was overall happy with my position size that I was doing for the first time that I'm trading on this kind of playbook strategy trade. And nothing more else that I could really critique myself on. And that thought there always, of course, that gosh, I know this isn't going to spike hard against me, so why really am I even covering at all? And why am I covering into these flushes? Maybe it still even rips all the way to 2.7. I know it's going to be trending closer back to 2.5, whether it is today or within the next day. And I'm willing to take on those borrow fees overnight again, because it's just like, I don't want to be that type of trader, but it's, these ones don't ever really beat you. They just like force you out by death of boredom. So yeah, I really believe that's all I had on that one. And I could just say that, I knew yesterday too that the tendency for this one was going to be sideways and that it wasn't there, but I still just had to play it for that experience again and take the chance. I like the risk factor. I like the play, but more, what am I trying to say? More on top of that, I just like the playbook factor that I've been seeing of these types of trades repeating out that way versus like the SRRA, which was the lower floater first green day from yesterday that had a pretty huge, insane second day today, 26% in the green and moving even further after hours. That's just chalk it up as, could this trend be reversing as the majority of these ones, these second day plays, not producing any more red days or sell off, call it even a rest day, but more of a sell off day? Could that pattern be changing? This could be one of those starters that ends up changing that sentiment to be learning from in our little database of recent market movers like that. Gosh, that is all I had of nothing. Again, keen for me on the watch list as of right now, or anything popping up on the scanners that I'm so convicted or have a hard on for to be taken overnight. Nothing huge for first green day movers holding similar to CKPT to take that style of trade. But yeah, still keeping hard on waiting for a morning dump setup for a pre-market news catalyst spike to short into, to watch that thing just fail even before market hours, or watch it just continue to deplete itself in market hours as well. But nothing other than that I've got hard on the watch. It's time to, just like Jesse Livermore says, it's time to go fishing, of using what's available and not putting in the reps and the time necessary, which is my monthly goal as well too, that I have to always hold myself accountable to as well. Put in the time necessary, but also realizing, okay, let's not become so accustomed to. I like use the example of the guys I used to go to college with and play baseball with, of, they would always be putting in the hard work, and after practice they'd be putting in the reps. But by the time it's like half an hour since they've started and they're doing the reps, they're putting in the hard work, but their form just looks atrocious, and they're just like going through the motions and just dying. And okay, I got it. Whoopee! Throw the ball. It's like, what mental patterns are you actually building through that hard work? There's definitely a level of pushing yourself beyond your limits and just training yourself that way. But then there's the aspect of, okay, what are you actually trying to achieve here? And are those patterns that you're doing right now, an example of those college guys, of you're actually kind of building, the more time you're spending doing those crappier patterns, that then start to ingrain in your brain as, okay, this is acceptable for how we do this type of movement, versus a short, quick, sharp movement to address, hey, I want to do this. Okay, got it, nailed, and now we go on to the next one. And just keep it, that Navy SEAL mentality of like 3 to 5 reps, just keep it nice and simple and quick, get in, get out, full mental focus in everything that we're doing. Perfect reps, not just going through the motions, not like pretending we're doing work because we're doing more work, like stroking water, treading water, pretending that we're moving forward, that type of analogy. But gosh, yeah. Brain going a little haywire, but that is all I had on the day. I sincerely thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys on the next one.